What's going on, YouTube? How you doing? Today is another installment of AskTVK, where you can ask me whatever you want and I'm gonna answer to the best of my ability. Today we're shooting on a rooftop and I'm so excited. Look at these views, man. It's so beautiful. The sunlight is so great. I love it. Today's question comes from my boy Viola Santi. He asks, yo, what the f do I do about a school orchestra teacher not wanting to put you first or give you solos even though your section is really bad just because you're not a senior? That's such a good question. Ooh, helicopter. You know, that is such a good question, and I know a lot of you are probably dealing with something very similar to that. So I can see you dealing with this, man, in two different ways. The first one being suck it up. I mean that in the nicest way possible, by just allowing these things to happen and not letting it get to you. And here's the reason why. Because orchestra teachers have a really hard job. They end up teaching a lot of people that really don't want to be in orchestra and people who are very demotivated. So honestly, a lot of these kids don't want to even be there anyway. And the only thing that's keeping them there is the idea that if they put in the time, they can get a good spot in the orchestra and they can feel like they've accomplished something. Now, if the teacher were to really give younger students priority, that could possibly hurt the morale and the health of the orchestra. So you have to try to look at it from the orchestral director's perspective. Sometimes the people who've been there the longest have put in the most work, and they, in some way, especially in a school orchestra, deserve that spot. And so you just kind of have to let that happen and be patient, wait for your time, especially if you are better than them. And honestly, if you really are better than them and you know that you're better than them, isn't that good enough? Like, you already know that you're a boss. So there's no reason to trip out too much on that. And the second way I can see you handling this is to politely ask the teacher the reason why they're not doing that. A lot of times these political things happen, and I want to stress that you have to do this very delicately because you don't want to destroy your standing within the orchestra by looking like a brat. Wait for a moment after orchestra class one day and ask to speak with the orchestra director privately and truly inquire why it is that you are in the spot that you are. Don't be whiny about it. Just ask them genuinely, I really think that I can lead. I really think that I can really bring a whole new level to this orchestra by being in a leadership role. And I was wondering if there's any chance that I can audition for this or if I can earn this in some way. And honestly, you know, probably you won't be able to. Probably the orchestra director is gonna shut you down, but honestly, it never hurts to ask. And if you never ask, the answer is always no. But I want to stress this one more time. You have to be very, very careful and delicate by the way you handle this situation, because if you don't handle it correctly, you could look like a brat. And nobody likes a brat. And this is something I want all of you guys to take away from this question. I want you guys to never really place your self-worth or value as a musician based upon where you sit in the orchestra. It doesn't matter where you sit in the orchestra. You always have the chance to be a leader in some way. In a previous video that I said, playing in the back of the orchestra is probably the hardest part, and it's probably the most important part because the sound comes from the back. If you have a strong back, it makes everybody more invigorated. Same goes for if you're in the middle. You always matter, no matter where you are in the orchestra. So never ever tie your self-esteem or your idea of self-worth based off of where you sit in the orchestra, because that is not true. And if you truly, truly want to lead, you have to show that you are a leader no matter where you sit. Be so damn good that your orchestral director has no choice but to put you in a leadership role. Work for it. Just because you may be the best player doesn't mean you automatically deserve it. You have to earn your keep, and no matter what you do in this industry, always. Well, I hope that helped. Thank you so much for your questions. Seriously guys, thank you so much for all of your questions you've been sending in. If you want your question answered in AskTVK, make sure you use the hashtag AskTVK in the description. Shoot me a tweet, shoot me a DM on Instagram, shoot me a Facebook message, wherever you want, I'm gonna get there for you. If this video helped you out, please give it a nice like. That'll help me out so much. If you want some more advice, check out my last video. Here's a clip. So my 2 cents is the feelings that you have of being unworthy are shared among every single musician. Even myself right now, I don't feel worthy to study music. It's so awesome, it's so great, it's so fulfilling. So don't let that stop you. Every musician feels that way. This sunset is ridiculous right now. Oh my goodness.